Hi, my name is Ram, and welcome to another session of the series of live coding where we develop real web application with React and Node.js. So today we're going to continue with our login feature, and the plan is to have the dashboard page, and as we know from our mockups, the dashboard page should be available only to authenticated users, and that means that we're going to create authorized routes. And then we'll proceed with user sign-up feature. Okay, before we begin, I want to thank you all for your comments, for your likes, for your subscriptions. That's really, every time that I see a good comment, that makes my day. Thank you very much. And I want to thank all the patrons that support me. I'm humbled. Thank you. And let's go to the coding. So first of all, here, let's go back to our GitHub repository, and you can see that we almost completed the user login feature. So we have the setup completed, we have form and for validation, we have several components. We do not have dashboard page, but we're gonna implement it now. We have Node.js project, we have authentication with JSON Web Token, we have API for user authentication, we have user data and token generation. So what left is authorized routes. So before we do that, we need to create dashboard page and redirect to that page. So let's do that. So here I am in React application. So let's go to what do we call it? Login page. So here we redirect to root URL, but let's go to dashboard. Okay, so now we're going to redirect here. So let's open app.js and describe or define this dashboard route. And for that, we'll use dashboard page component. So here I'm going to copy it and have the dashboard page. Now we need to create one. So in components pages, dashboard page component. There's going to be class component as well, without any state, but it will have the submit because no, it won't. No, it won't. So yeah, dashboard is, for now, dashboard is just the page without anything. But what we want to do, we want to display this nagging message to confirm your email. So when user signups, we do not require to confirm email right away to use the application, but we are nagging our user, hey, just to unlock the full potential of this application, please verify your email address. So that's what we're gonna do here. So here we have the dashboard page. It's gonna be a div, and we want to display some message if is authenticated. So it is authenticated. Then we want, if not authenticated, is confirmed. So if user is not confirmed, then we want to have this confirm email message. Okay, a lot of assumptions. So we need to have this is confirmed. We take it from Redux state. So we connect from react-redux, we connect our dashboard. And here we'll have map state to props function. So let's define it. Function map state to props. It takes state. Weirdly enough, I do not use the snippets for it. For anything else, I use it, but for this, no. And I'm going to return the is confirmed to be just state user confirmed. So we do not have confirmed, so it will be undefined. And that will actually break, not break, but it will warn us, because right now here I will define the that is confirmed is a Boolean. So if I define it as, if I pass undefined, it will have a warning. So for now, I'm just gonna convert it into Boolean. So prop types, and here I deconstruct it here. Okay, so the next one is confirm email message. So let's create one. Confirm email message is going to be messages, confirm email message. So let's go to messages, confirm email messages. message. Functional component, nothing here. So what we're gonna have here is a message component from semantic UI React. And here, instead of div, I will have message info. I think it's called info. And here we'll have the message that header. Please verify your email to unlock awesomeness. Okay, so very simple, no props, nothing like that. So now if we go to the browser and let's go to the dashboard page, we have please verify your email to unlock awesomeness. Nice. It works, and it will be nagging our users for a long time. Maybe later we'll have some kind of a close, so do not show me this message again, and we will save it in the database. But for now, until user verifies email, we are nagging. But as you can see here, I am not logged in, so I'm not authenticated, but I still can go to this page, which is not good. And that's the next thing that we want to do, to create authorized routes. And routes in React Router version 4 is just another component. And that's the genius behind all of this, is that just components. So we can create another higher order component and have our logic in there. So let's have a look. So here in app, this dashboard, I want it to be available only to users. So I will create UserRoute, and I pass everything like I do for routes. So here, I'm gonna import UserRoute from not like this, components, routes, UserRoute. So now let's create one, components, routes, UserRoute. There's gonna be a functional component, UserRoute, and it will take in props, it will take several things. So it will take everything that we pass to route. So we'll take component from it and we rename it to component from capital C, and then the rest of it will get into this rest variable. So now here, what we're going to do is we're going to use route, and we're going to pass all of the props that we pass to this user route to the route here. Okay, so everything that we have just there. But instead of component like we did before, we're going to use render, and we're going to render component for now. So we'll have props, and we render component, and we pass props to it. So basically what we did right now, we created higher order component, and we just do absolutely the same that just the simple component does here. So nothing has changed, but we need to define prop types, and we need to define prop types, define component, and component is just a function. React components are functions, and we need to import route from React Route DOM. Okay, so now if we go back here, we'll see that it works. It still works. We have user route now routing to the dashboard, but now we can introduce the conditional. We're going to connect our route to Redux store, and then to see if it's authenticated, we render the component. If it's not authenticated, we redirect. So let's import connect from React Redux. So we're going to connect it here. Again, map step to props, function. We return object is authenticated. To be, again, state user token, like we did previously. So now in prop types, we also need to define is authenticated to be a Boolean, and we pass it here as well. So now we have is authenticated. So let's introduce it right here. So if is authenticated, then we render component. Otherwise, we render redirect component to homepage. So this redirect component we import from react-redux DOM. And now if you go back to our browser, you can see that we've been redirected to homepage. We can't access dashboard route anymore. Nice, right? So we can create another route, this almost the same route. Let's copy and let's create GuestRoute.js. I'm gonna paste it, and the only thing that I want to change, if it's not authenticated, then we render component. Otherwise, we redirect to dashboard. So that's for example, where we want to use it is in our app here in login. So only guest users should have access to login route. So let's import guest route as well, and let's have a look. Yeah, so now if you go to login, you can see that we have the login page available to us. We can't go to dashboard because we are not authenticated. But we have a problem actually with React Router right here. So nothing happens. What's going on? So this is the problem with UpdateBlockers, and you can read about it in official documentation. But basically, when you use React Connect, react-redux connect function, it will have a conflict with React Router. So we need to have a workaround, and you can read about it in documentation if you want to learn a little bit more details. But basically what we want to do, we want to pass to each route here, to each route that we use, we want to pass location. Location equals location. And that will fix it. So we'll take this location and let's define location as, we could do it like this, but linter will not be happy when we define it as object, because defining something in JavaScript as object is almost the same as not defining it at all. It's just, it can be anything, right? So that's why linter doesn't like it. Instead of it, we'll use shape. And in shape, let's have path name to be string. We actually doesn't care about what's particular there in this object for this particular component, but that's pretty good. So we have location, we pass it down to other routes, but application itself doesn't have any location. So for that, let's go to index.js file here. Let's import from a React Router route, and here we, instead of just app, we'll use route for any kind of route, and component is app. So this way we'll have route that will render app component and pass history location to it. And then in app itself, we're going to use this location to fix this problem. So if you go back, let's go back to the home page. And now if we go to login, it's fixed. So that's kind of a workaround when you connect components to Redux and use them in your routes. So you will have blockers. So, and that's one way to fix it. Okay, so now we have authorized routes. We have login page, we have dashboard page. So if I log in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I log in, I'm redirected to dashboard and I have access to it. I have this nagging message, and if I go to login, I will be redirected back to dashboard because I'm already signed in. That's cool. So let's status. So what we did, authorized routes. Good. So the next step is to create sign up page. So basically what we're gonna do, we already done it almost exactly the same with the login. So we'll have route, which points to page. That page will render form. This form will have client-side validation. and it will make a synchronous request to the server, render the server error messages, and if everything's okay, it will redirect somewhere. In our case, after sign up, we also want to, we again want to log in automatically and then go back to dashboard. So if I go here in the GitHub, we finish this authorized route. So we finish this user login feature. We can close it, close issue. Nice. So the next one is user signs up. And here you can see again my mockup. So we have sign up route, sign up page, and sign up form. And sign up form is almost identical to login form. So we have only email and password, even without confirmation. So we trust our user to type their password from the first try. And if user makes a mistake, he always can reset the password. And then on the background, we'll send confirmation email and redirect the dashboard with the negative message. We got this part with the negative message already. So we need to have this sign up. So let's get started. So first, let's define guest route. I'm going to define it right here. It's guest route to sign up. And we'll have sign up page here. Pages. Here we'll have sign up page. Let's go to components pages, sign up page.js. That's going to be a component, class component, sign up page, without state, but with submit, like we did before. So it will take data and it will invoke thunk action. This props sign up, pass data, and if everything's okay, it will, this props history, it will push to dashboard. Okay, so now here in div, we'll have the form. So we'll have sign up form, and we pass submit to this form, this submit. Of course, we need to connect it. So here we need to have sign up action, and we need to define this history push. So let's prop types define. First of all, history, like we did before, that's a shape with push as a function. And we have the sign up, that is the function. So now we need to import prop types, and we need to import connect from react-redux. I need to create snippet for this stuff. So now I have this connect. I do not need anything from the state, but I need to have the sign up here. Good. So, and the last thing, I need to import sign up form from forms sign up. So let's create. In forms, we create sign up form.js. That's the component. I actually have the whole snippet for forms, but I will show you other snippets that I do. So here I have the sign up form, and here I can design my state. Usually it's data. Here I will have email and password. That's all that I need in the form. I also will have, as usual, loading, false, and errors, empty object. In render, I will deconstruct it, and I will take data, errors, and loading from this .state. So here as well, I need to have the prop types, and in prop types, this form will take submit function. So I'm going to define it, and we'll have the submit as a function. Next, I need to have the form to import form and button from semantic UI React. And here instead of div, we'll have form. This form will have the on submit equals this on submit, and also loading to equals loading. You can see how repetitive it is, how I type almost the same thing over and over again. So almost any kind of form will have this kind of code. So that's why I have snippets. So now I need to define this onSubmit. Pretty easy. I have onSubmit snippet, and it's almost always doesn't change. So it's like this. So now here I have this call to validate. So I need validation. So I have a snippet for that as well. And I can define my validations here. So if not is email data email, then errors.email equals invalid email. And for password, if not data password, then errors.password equals can't be blank. So now I need to have this is email. I'm gonna import it from validator. Lib is email. So now I have onSubmit and I have validation. So the next thing is to define form fields and button. So let's start from the button. We'll have button primary. And here inside of the button, we'll have a sign up. So now form fields, 2 form fields, and I have a snippet for it. Semantic form field, bam. And we have one for email. Email, the type is email, and the placeholder is, oh, I messed up with my snippet here. And the placeholder is email@email.com, and here I need to change it to on change. And I need to do the same thing. So as you can see here, I have inline error. So let's import it. Inline error from messages, inline error. And I need to do the same thing for another one. So I have React semantic form field for password, and type is password as well. And placeholder, I do not need one. Let's remove it. And here I will have on change. Okay, so now I need to define this on change. On change, bam. And we're done. So the form is done. We have state, we have on change and on submit, we have validation, we have the form itself. We have prop types, all that we need. Good. So as you can imagine, you can abstract it. You can extract it to the higher order form component to eliminate this duplication if you want to. I usually don't, because sometimes, very often, forms goes other way. So they become much more complex, because when you have this power of React and you have the ability to create really powerful interfaces, you do all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I prefer to do this way. So now we have form, but now we need to define this action and reducer. So what we do here in our submit, in sign up page, we have the sign up, which we haven't yet imported. So we'll have sign up action from actions users. So this action is going to be used here, passed as a prop, and here we call it when we submit the form. So now we need to create an actions users.js file, and inside of it we'll define thunk action that we call sign up. It takes data, it has dispatch, and then here we'll just make API called user sign up. It will pass data to it. It will respond with user data. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to dispatch user logged in, because that's what we wanna do. We want to dispatch. We want to log in user after successful registration. Okay. So now we need to import API from API. We need to import user logged in from auth actions. And linter will still be not happy with our export here, because when we have only one export, it wants you to use default export default, but we'll leave it for now because we'll have much more actions here later. So now we need to go to API, and let's define another method here. We call it sign up. So it takes user, and we have also access post. We'll have API users, and we pass the user to it. And if everything's okay, we have response, and we return user data. Done. So that's the client side. Now we need to handle the backend. So if we go here and let's log out, let's add here the link to the sign up page, sign up route. So if you go to home page here, you have the link. Let's enclose it, wrap it into div, and here we'll add or link to sign up. Okay, so now we can go to sign up. Here is the form. If I try to sign up, I have 404. So we make a request, but of course we haven't defined this route. So now we need to go to the backend and create this route. So let's do this. We go into the backend code. So first of all, in index.js file, let's import users route, and let's mount it into users here. Okay, so now let's create one. In routes, we'll have users.js, and that's route. So router.post, and we have request and response. So what we want to do here, first of all, we want to create a new user model. So let's get email and password from request body credentials, request body user. And now we need to create constant user equals new user. And we pass that we want to have email to equal this email. And that's it, because we do not want to pass password. In our model here, so let's import this model, user from models user. So here in our model, in user model, you can see that we have password hash. We do not have just a password. So what we're gonna do instead, after we created this instance, we'll use user set password and pass password to it. So now we need to define this set password. Let's do it right here. So we'll have schema, methods, set password equals function, set password. It takes password. And we do not need to return anything. We just set this password hash equals to bcrypt hash sync. And we pass password to it and 10 for salt. Done. So that's what we need to do. So we make a request, we have email password, we hash in this password, and we have email and hashed password there. So after that, we want to save. So here in users, I'm gonna do user.save, and that will return promise. And if everything's okay, it will return user record to us. If something went wrong, for example, validation error, it will return this error. It will throw an error at us. So let's do just this. We need to validate that email is unique, right? And for uniqueness, we need to install another plugin for Mongoose. So here I'm in an API in terminal, and I yarn add Mongoose unique validator. Okay, so now we have unique validator. If you go back here in our model, we're gonna import it, unique validator from Mongoose, unique, that very complex words, validator. And now when we have this validator, we just use it as a plugin. So we register it on our schema.plugin, unique validator. And another thing that we can add is the custom message. So for example, this email is already taken, or something like that. Okay, so now we have plugin activated on this schema, and we can use on our email here, we can use unique true. Done. Also, while we're here, let's add another attribute confirmed, because we're going to use it later. It's going to be a Boolean, and default is false. Okay. And let's add it to JSON as well. Confirmed. This confirmed. Okay, so now we save it. It will check for uniqueness. It will have this validation. And if something is wrong, for example, I will try right now to submit, to sign up with the same email that I already have in the database, then we want to catch it. And it will have an error. And this error is different from what we expect. So let's just respond JSON error, just to have a look what it looks like. Okay, so now if I reload the page, and I will try to submit to sign up with the same email. Here we have users, and you can see that error has the error is an error object. Inside of it we have errors, but the errors themselves are another object with a lot of messages there. But that's not what we want. That's not what we use in our validation. We have much simpler structure. So to remedy this, we can create a parser. So let's create a utils folder, and inside of it, Parse Errors file. And here we export default function. Here we define result as an empty object, and then we return this result. So what we want to do, we want to create the same object. So we have the, as an attribute, the field is the form field, and then just the message, error message. So for that, I will use _for each, and I will iterate through errors that are passed to this function. So I will iterate errors. It will take value, which is the error object, and key, which is the field. And I will do result key to equal value message, like this. So now I need to import from Lodash. And now, of course, I need to install Lodash. So yarn add Lodash. Explicitly, it is installed, it is used by a lot of libraries, but just for our linter not to freak out like it does right here. And now I can use this. So I'm going to import Parse Errors from utils, Parse Errors. And now I can use it right here. So I will do errors equals to Parse Errors, error, errors, like this. So now let's try it out. If I sign up, we have users and we have errors as we want them. But another thing that we need to do, of course, is to add here the status, the error status. So we have the error on our client, so we'll have 400. And let's try it again. Bam, this email is already taken. So we have client server-side validation and uniqueness validation. Nice. So now what happens when it's okay? So then we have the user model, and we can just respond with JSON user to equal user to auth JSON. So we already created method that creates this object that we want to pass down to the client. So if everything's okay, it will do like this. Okay, so linter doesn't like it that I have user here and I have user here. So I will just rename it to user record. Oops, not this one. That's just simple user record here. Okay, so now let's try to sign up with test.com. And here we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. So the user has been signed up, logged in, and we redirected to dashboard. If we go to terminal here, and let's go to Mongo, and I'm gonna just use bookworm, and then just db users find. You can see that now we have 2 users, and one of them is test with hashed password. And as we use these timestamps, you can see that we have updated it and created it data. Cool. Let's exit from it. So that's basically almost it. So what we did here, we sign up with the client-side validation, done. We server-side validation at check for email uniqueness, done. The last thing that we need to do is to send confirmation email, and we're gonna talk and implement email sending in the next session. So let's status and commit. It's gonna be user signs up. And that's it for today. If you like this episode, please don't hesitate to hit the like button. That makes my day. Subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends on social media. You know the drill. If you want to support me financially, you can go to my Patreon page. And yeah, thank you very much for your time and have a great day.